welcome back. So good to see ya. So this video is basically going to be a part 2 to my How to Get Away with Murder Season 6 Episode 12 review. So if you haven't seen that episode yet, do not watch this. It will contain major spoilers for you, but this video is going to be exploring the person who may be behind the entire crusade to take Annalise down, along with some other goodies sprinkled along the way. But before we get started, thank you for watching. I do post new videos weekly, so if you do enjoy my content, go ahead and hit subscribe and that thumbs up to see more videos like this one. I also feature my top 3 favorite comments from my last video and then feature them here. So be sure to stick around for that. With that said, is there anyone still watching and that hasn't seen episode 12 of season 6? Because I'm about to say, Vivian revealed that Hannah Keating was the one that started this entire investigation against Annalise. So this video is going to be full of speculation about Hannah's motives and her secrets, and I drew a lot of inspiration from you guys, so if you hear a theory that sounds familiar, chances are I read it in the comment section of the last video and I really liked it, so thank you. Now as for Hannah, I don't know if you're familiar with her, but I've just been calling her the mastermind behind this for months. But in this video, we'll be discussing the Sam and Hannah thing. And then I'll also try to connect Hannah to everyone who currently has a vendetta against Annalise. And at the very end of the video, I have a theory as to why Annalise didn't get in the car when she changed her name and fled to Mexico. And it involves HK. Ew! I am not saying that again, and we will stick with Hannah. Anyway, picking up from where we left off in episode 12, Vivian asked Annalise if she knew what happened between Hannah and Sam. And before we dive into this web of Hannah though, how funny does this reveal make this scene from season 1?
Better than the sister obsessing her entire life over her brother. How's the saying go? Incest is best, put your brother to the test.
Okay, so this is going to be a lot, so try to keep up. I've rambled on about Hannah a bunch in the past, so I'm gonna try not to repeat myself too much, although I probably will. But like I've mentioned before, the FBI's obsession with getting justice for Sam has always seemed so personal. So it makes sense that Hannah would be the motive behind all of that. But I would have never suspected that there was anything else going on between Hannah and Sam. The way Vivian vaguely put it, it could be 100 things. But these are 3 things I think it could most likely be and how it connects to everyone else on the show. Number 1, based on the clip I showed you at the start of this section, it's possible that Sam and Hannah were a little more than siblings, if you understand what I'm trying to get at. Wink, wink. It's incest, is what I'm trying to say. I probably shouldn't have winked. That was weird. Anyway, that would give Hannah all the fuel in the world to want the death penalty for Annalise if she thinks Annalise is the one behind Sam's murder. I mean, it could be some twisted sibling jealousy justice. I mean, Sam did have a thing for targeting vulnerable women. I mean, take a look at Vivian, Lila, Annalise. Maybe it all started with Hannah and she got obsessed. Not only did AK steal her man away from her, but supposedly she killed him too. That doesn't get your obsessed sister you had an incestuous relationship with all fired up to take revenge on your widow. Quite frankly, I don't know what will. But hey, what if Sam was the victim here and Hannah took advantage of him? Then she would feel like she has some sort of ownership over Sam. And if she was obsessed enough, which she clearly is, that would be enough motivation to take this all the way to the top and convict Annalise and then request the death penalty. She just misses her brother, Boo. Her Boo brother. Her brother. Number 2, and this is just randomly here before I get to the big juicy one, and lists sound better in 3s, but what if they weren't even blood related? Now, I do feel like this would be something that Sam would have mentioned to Annalise over their years of marriage, but if he felt ashamed of his relationship with his sister, and it was mutual, maybe he just never brought up the fact that they weren't blood related. I mean, we really don't know the extent of Sam and Hannah's relationship in general, but we do know that they were close enough to both have a connection to Frank, as Vivian revealed in this scene here.
Your aunt knew him.
My aunt?
Sam has an older sister, Hannah. She grew up knowing Frank's family.
But maybe they just kept their relationship a secret. I mean, that does sound twisted enough to drive Vivian away from the crazy Keating family. So speaking of Vivian, Vivian mentioned that Hannah knew Frank's family. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember Sam ever mentioning that his connection to Frank ever stemmed from Hannah. Should we be worrying about the Delfino family now? Okay, number 3, and the one that I personally believe the most, and I'll explain why in a second, starts with another blast from the past that was brought up this last episode. The car accident that killed Annalise's baby boy. Frank supposedly accepted cash from the Mahonies and blah blah blah. You already know the story. But this was brought up last episode too, which makes me think that it's connected on an even greater scale somehow. But I'll tie that in a second. This goes even deeper. What if, and this is a big if, but what if Frank is still devoted to Hannah and has been working Annalise ever since Sam died? Maybe even before. What if Frank is devoted to the Keating family as a whole? So that includes Frank, Annalise, and Hannah. But he does know Hannah and Sam more. So if he has to choose between Hannah and Annalise, I feel like he would choose Hannah. Think about it. Frank could be providing Hannah with loads of information. Again, this is a huge if, but we've been searching for moles and never once did I think of Frank. Like, that would legitimately be a surprise to me. But hold on, this rabbit hole goes deeper. Ever wonder why Sam was so keen on bringing Frank into the Keating family? He never really mentioned a specific reason why. So what if Frank is the product of a teen incestuous relationship between the one and only Sam and Hannah Keating? That's right, Sam just goes around getting everybody pregnant. Now, seriously, it fits a pattern. First Hannah, then Vivian, then Annalise, then Lila, and we'll come back to her, but every woman we know Sam has been with has been pregnant at one point or another. Now, this is dark and twisted, I know, but didn't Pete Nowak say this next reveal was going to be dark and twisted? Perhaps they gave Frank up for adoption afterwards to the Delfinos, hence why Hannah has a relationship with Frank's family. Now, we don't know too much about Sam and Hannah's parents, but something tells me they wouldn't want to keep an incest baby around. Now, there's more. Remember when Sam begged Annalise to give Frank a shot? Makes a little more sense now, doesn't it? And it explains why Sam still kept Frank around after he went crazy on him in the hospital after he lost his baby boy. Sam knew that Frank was behind the car accident, yet Sam's just like, you'll owe me one later. Frank is the cause behind killing their unborn baby boy. Cause I'm just saying, if you murdered my unborn child under those circumstances, your ass is rotting in jail. Sorry. Yet Sam's able to give Frank another shot. I guess that makes Sam a bigger man than I am. Or it just makes him Frank's father. Now, yes, I'm talking much about Sam, but let's go ahead and take a look at the other side of that coin. The point of this video, Dr. Hannah Keating. And I'm assuming she's a doctor because she's a psychologist, and that still blows my mind. Now, this ties even further into the Frank is the mole theory that I mentioned before. Say Frank was still to be devoted to Hannah this entire time, possibly under the assumption that he owes the Keating family, or maybe he knows the truth, which I highly doubt, but he was just doing the bidding for mommy Hannah dearest. And yes, immediately felt weird after saying that, and I will never say it again, but this does tie into a larger theory I have a little bit later. First, I want to take you down a dark path of how I think Hannah could potentially be connected to everyone that's out to take Annalise down. Last episode, I mentioned that Gabriel interrogates the kids about Wes having help when he killed Sam, because Asher and Hannah said he had help. So this scene could have been the same day that Vivian told Gabriel about Hannah, or it could have been several days after, but the point still stands. Gabriel goes from not knowing his aunt even exists to then quoting her. That seems a little fishy. We've been told repeatedly that Gabriel showed up because he wanted to find out the truth about Sam's death. Who else wants to find out the truth about Sam's death? That's right, Hannah Keating. I think Gabriel has been involved with his aunt Hannah well before Vivian even told him about her. I have a feeling that Hannah found her nephew, told him the truth about his father, and then manipulated him into joining her Justice for Sam crusade. I can't think of any other reason Gabriel would be so suspicious, and there's no way he would be working on his own. Okay, so now let's go even deeper. Hannah obviously isn't working alone. She already has a connection to Gabriel, she has a connection to Frank, and she has an even deeper connection to Sam that we don't even know about yet. But I think it stretches even further than that though. I've mentioned the I Hate Annalise fan club multiple times, and what if Hannah is the president of that fan club, and there are just multiple members, and I'm talking the Castillos, Governor Birkhead, Agent Murderer, maybe even the Mahonies, or maybe not the Mahonies. Xavier told us a lot this episode. The first big reveal is that he knew about the previously mentioned car accident that killed Sam and Annalise's unborn child. And he also knows that Frank accepted money to do it. So how would Junior Castillo over here know all that information, huh? Maybe the Castillos were working with the Mahonies, or maybe the Mahonies weren't involved at all. We never got confirmation on who ordered that hit, did we? Now take a look at the scene of Annalise talking to Miss Mahoney after her husband died.
You took everything away from me, his life and mine.
You are wrong about so much.
What is Annalise wrong about? Maybe the fact that the Mahonies were never behind it. One thing that really bugs me about this scene is it's never resolved or come back to. And I think that's what they've been building up to here. But wait, Xavier knew. So that automatically triggers the Castillos to being involved somehow. And remember how I said I tie the car accident back into Hannah? Well, what if the death penalty wasn't the first time that Hannah wanted to kill Annalise? The motive for the car accident would be simple. Hannah hates Annalise because she's married to and then expecting a baby with the brother that Hannah happens to be in love with. But check this out. We know that Laurel Castillo struggles with certain mental illnesses, and Hannah is a psychologist. Now, either of these theories can link Hannah to the Castillos, which makes the fact that Frank chose Laurel a little more odd, huh? The one guy with a connection to Hannah Keating chooses a girl from the family that potentially has a connection to the car accident that killed Annalise's unborn child. That seems like way more than a coincidence. And Hannah would never tell Sam that she was actually the one behind the car accident. Obviously. Now what does this do? This frees up the Mahonies of any guilt from the car accident, and it also explains why Miss Mahoney was like, you were so wrong about so much. Now the family is still shady as and pretty trash for trying to cover up those sexual assault charges, but let's say, just hypothetically, Mama Mahoney felt bad and wanted to make things right. She finds out about Wes, and then she reaches out wanting to get him out of a bad situation, and then she fakes his death. And how did we start talking about Wes? Okay, so the second big reveal that Xavier gave us is the fact that he told Nate that the governor is behind everything. Then shortly after, we're told that Hannah was the one that got the ball rolling. So that leads me to believe that Hannah might have planted all the right seeds and got all of these Annalise haters to join the I Hate Annalise club and come together to take her down. Think about the governor. Remember that time she got the adoption paperwork on Annalise? She got that pretty fast. A little too fast? Maybe someone that Annalise knew personally delivered that evidence. Someone, I don't know, related to Annalise's late husband? Now think about that scene when Annalise told Sam about it. That seems like something a concerned husband would tell his sibling. Now look, I don't think Hannah has the resources or the money to be able to hire an FBI mole. She's just a psychotic psychologist. But that's why she's getting affiliated with all these rich families like Solomon. But first, let's talk about her link to the Castillos again. Now, I don't know if Hannah calls all the shots or she just leads the Castillos in the right direction and then lets them be the Castillos. But like I mentioned before, Frank has a connection to Hannah that we never knew about. Now, I know the car accident took place well before Sam's death, but I'm pretty confident that Hannah hated Annalise from the get-go. Okay, all I'm saying is that Hannah is building an evil Avengers team against Annalise to take her down. And who's to say there's not more people involved in that? Notice when Tegan interrogates the blonde lawyer lady about being in cahoots with the Castillos and Governor Birkhead, she's like, IDK what? But what if she's not working with the Castillos or Birkhead? She's representing Hannah. And I know I'm grasping at straws, but the Castillos and Governor Birkhead could just be a different cog in Hannah's machine. Or Birkhead and the Castillos could have their own agenda for Annalise. Either way, it still makes Nate killing Xavier incredibly stupid because now the Castillos are going to retaliate. And they also still have Hannah coming after them as well. But this stretches even further than that. I've mentioned this on countless occasions, but Oliver and Solomon just seem super suspect, especially since they've been trying so hard to keep Connor and Michaela in those immunity deals. Oliver could have been contacted any time over the years, and Hannah could have twisted it in a way where Connor needs protection from Annalise. And now Oliver is devoted to Hannah too. Remember that time that Oliver deleted Connor's acceptance letter when he got into the other school and was trying to leave Annalise? Why did Oliver want him to stay so bad? Unless he was directed by Hannah. Now, this could all just be to satisfy my I don't trust Oliver hunger, but I am 96.4% sure that Solomon is working with Hannah. And this is where things get even more deeper. So we know that Solomon ratted out Annalise's location, right? And do you hear how Solomon speaks about Annalise to Michaela? He makes Annalise seem like the scum of this earth. And anyone that hates Annalise that much has to be affiliated with Hannah. He's another rich person from Annalise's past with a grudge. It fits right into Hannah's target audience. Maybe Hannah went after all of Annalise's exes. Either way, I definitely think that Solomon tipped off Hannah when Annalise came asking about making herself disappear. And from there, they just waited until she did it. That entire process was supposed to be anonymous. So how did Solomon know exactly where Annalise was when he gave her location to the FBI? He never intended to let her go. That's why. And remember when Annalise saw the driver of the car and hesitated, then ran? That's probably because she was finally catching on as to who was actually behind this. Hannah was the first name out of Annalise's mouth when Vivian mentioned who might be the person who started this war against her. I think Annalise has slowly been putting it together, which is why Hannah is on top of her mind. Now I have to thank Babe for bringing this to my attention, but take a look at this clip from season 1. This was a detective assigned to Hannah back in season 1 when she was trying to get justice for Sam's murder. Now watch this clip. That was a driver from episode 10 of this season when Annalise hesitated. I don't know, they look pretty similar. I think Annalise recognized him and red flags just started waving when she saw him. Again, this is Hannah expanding the members of her I Hate Annalise fan club. And this is potentially why Annalise didn't get in that car. She felt like something was off and it was probably a trap set up by Hannah and Solomon. But hold on, remember when I said I'd come back to Lila? This gives us yet another Hannah pattern. What if, and this changes everything, but what if Hannah was behind Lila's death? Think about it. If Hannah was behind the car accident that took out Annalise's baby, let's say she finds out that her lover brother got another girl pregnant, this Lila girl. Now she calls up her hitman Frank, who is just as devoted to her as he is Sam, to protect Sam out of some strange incestuous jealousy thing. Gabriel was kept a secret and Vivian made sure to keep them out of the Keating family life, which would make sense why Hannah didn't go after them. Now, Hannah reaching out to Gabriel in order to get him to spy on Annalise, like I mentioned before, does kind of contradict the idea of Hannah wanting all of Sam's offspring dead, but she could have found out about Gabriel and then saw him more as a means to get close to Annalise and take her down from the inside. Notice Lila wasn't included when the FBI went all... Seriously? Okay, I guess there's going to be a lawnmower in the background for the rest of this video now. Anyway, notice Lila wasn't included when the FBI went over the evidence against Annalise. They don't know she's connected yet. If Hannah was the one that initiated the hit for Lila, maybe it's Hannah who's trying to get away with murder. Putting everyone on the murder of her brother so no one goes sniffing around the murder of the girl who was pregnant with the man everyone seems to be obsessed with getting justice for his child. Does that make sense? This video's gotten so out of hand. You got me talking about Wes and then connecting it to the Castillos, and then there's a lawnmower in the background. It's just time to call it. In conclusion, who knows? The thing is, incest does seem like the obvious option. And when has how to get away with murder ever been obvious? So either it has nothing to do with incest, or the big twist is incest with the side of something bigger. The next episode is titled, What If Sam Wasn't a Bad Guy After All, or something like that. And it's rumored to have the biggest twist we've ever seen. So it looks like we're gonna be getting a lot more backstory on Sam. And my thoughts are the big twist is also going to include Hannah and Frank. And I also think that the title is just a title. I don't think we're gonna see that Sam is actually a good guy. Sam is still pretty trash. But here's a cool thing too, the twist may reveal that Hannah is actually a red herring. The show does have a tendency to give us the suspect, only to reveal that was actually someone we didn't expect at all. And if that happens, I'm calling it now, and my money is on Laurel. What if she wanted to get justice for Wes and was trying to clear his name? Or if Wes is still alive, maybe clearing his name will allow him to return without any sort of repercussions. And I'm definitely talking about Wes again, aren't I? Speaking of Wes, you know, he and Hannah could be working together too. Okay, I'm done. Regardless of all of that, if this all turns out to be true, hell, if 2% of it turns out to be true, I decided that I deserve an actual replica of the statue that Wes used to kill Sam. Shonda, Pete, Viola, I know one of you guys has to be watching this. You can just shoot me an email and then I'll send you my address. I just want the statue. That's pretty much it. That's not a big deal. Anyway, with that said, let's take a look at my top 3 favorite comments from my last video. All right, and this is so much better than carrying the laptop because I don't know if you noticed, but towards the end, I'm like shaking and my arm is getting lower and lower. Anyway, this first one is by, and I'm going to royally mess this up, Proudupest Sang U Tai. And my favorite part of this one is that they think that Bonnie or Frank are going to be involved in the big twist, where mainly Bonnie is going to be the one that betrayed Annalise after Miller's murder. And she's been working both sides since then. And I just think that's really cool because I would have never have seen it coming if Bonnie was actually the mole on the inside, because she is so devoted to Annalise. And this next one is from Kelvin A, and it's a long one, so I suggest finding it and reading the whole thing because there's a lot of good nuggets in there. But the parts that I like the most are the fact that Hannah can be connected to the Castillos through Laurel and her mental issues, and I mentioned that in this video. I also like the idea that Hannah could be a red herring and there's actually someone else who's behind everything, i.e. Oliver or Wes or Laurel. And I think that's a really cool concept because I really want it to be somebody in the group, and that's just me. But again, there's a lot of good stuff in this comment, so make sure to check it out, and I did feature a lot of it in this video too. And the last one is from Jonathan Jones, and I really like this one because it ties into Tegan's Game of Thrones reference. When Tegan mentioned Daenerys and then talked about letting the dragons out, let's think about Game of Thrones. They also have an incestuous relationship, and that could be mirrored with Hannah and Sam. And Jaime and Cersei also had a child who had a knack for hurting people. That could mirror Frank. And I just think this is really cool because if the How to Get Away with Murder writers are diving this deep into the themes, that's pretty badass. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching and dealing with the lawnmower in the background. Let me know what you think is going to happen next. What are your thoughts on the Hannah Keating reveal? What do you think Sam and Hannah were up to? And how do you think Hannah connects to everyone else that hates Annalise? Go ahead and comment down below and let's talk about it. Also, I started doing reviews for the HBO show Insecure, so if you're interested in checking one of those out or any of my other videos, click one here. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. It really helps me out. Then subscribe with a side of notification bell. Until next time, shine on, you crazy diamonds.
Shine on, you crazy diamonds. You're so crazy.